Hello, everyone. This is Talk Time with Cynthia. I'm coming today, and we are reading out of our book again. I guess I'm just trying to do two a day for y'all, and hopefully, when I don't do some for a day or so, that y'all ain't mad at me. But I love y'all anyway. So anyway, I always like to say before I start reading, because this is a very, very touchy subject and it's a hard conversation, and I do realize that, but it's a conversation that I feel like that have to be had. So here we go, right? So anyway, and also I would like to say, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to listen to the video to the end, because it's very important information that I am trying to give you guys, because I love you guys and I think you guys need to know this information, because a lot of us are unaware, even in the black race, of the information that I am giving to you guys today. And I'm reading out of the book. It's called The Black Tax, The Cost of Being Black in America, and I will show you the title. And so if you guys want to go out and get the book and read it for yourself, because I do not realize that I'm a slow reader, and sometimes my southern accent get kind of muddled up in there. So if y'all want to go and order this book for you guys self, so you can understand for yourself. And then it also gives you where they got the information, so you can go and do your own research. And I always say, make sure you do your own research. That way, you have the information for yourself, opposed to being spoon-fed, it being spoon-fed to you. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell. That way you'll be able to get know when I upload my videos or whatever, and which is very much appreciated. And don't forget, like I said, to subscribe. Don't forget to tell your family and your friends what your girl Cindy's doing, because y'all know we try to keep it popping over here on the positive side. Y'all know how we do, with love, peace, understanding, and compassion. That's what we do. I'm trying to bring unity to this platform. I'm trying to bring a place so people can come and understand how we got to where we are. And I don't only talk on this type of content. I talk on a lot of things. I do hauls. I got a couple of wigs that gonna be coming in, and I don't know when, but when they come in, I'm gonna show y'all how to look in them wigs, y'all. So, and don't forget to comment down below. Let me know what y'all think about this information that I'm giving to you. And like I said, if you have an opinion, hey, I'm willing to see and hear what you have to say. Can't please everybody, but don't post craziness on in the comment sections below, because it will automatically go to spam. So it's just a waste of time, because that's the way I got it set up. But I'm not opposed to people having their own opinion, because that's what we do, right? We have a right to our own opinion. So without further ado, I am going to start reading, because I don't want to bore you with my on and on and on. So hold on a second, guys. I'm trying to get my book together so I can read to you. So the title, this is part 2, and I'm reading a title in part 2. Okay, and then it says Black Tax, Separate but Equal Education from 18. Okay, let me read that again. Black Tax, Separate but Equal, from 1896 to 1954, right? And so then it reads, after emancipation, former slaves clamored for access to educational opportunities. They demanded and succeeded in helping to institute a public school system in the South that had not existed before. These gains were jeopardized after 1867, when the planter class, especially wealthy white former slave owners came back to power and wanted to halt the expansion of universal education to Southern children because they did not want to pay for it. They also wanted a vast amount of unskilled black laborers to work in the fields to drive profit for their operations. These unskilled laborers would also not be educated enough to challenge whites' absolute control of politics and creation of policy and regulations. Um, However, white farmers with smaller farms also wanted continued expansion of public education for their children, and the white planter class wanted their support. The white planters and farmers ultimately decided to support and expand universal education with public school funds for black children during diverted black children being diverted to white children, with both the planter class and white small farm um, owners increasing their opposition to black education. This opposition had been so effective in limiting investment in black education in the South during the 40 years since the Civil War that in 1903, W.E.B. Du Bois, in his influential essay, The Talented Tenth, stated that Negro taxes and the Negro's share of income from indirect taxes and endowments have fully repaid this expenditure, especially Southern white investment in Negro education since the Civil War. The separate but equal doctrine established by the Supreme Court in 1896, which stated that separate but equal facilities for black and white Americans did not violate the equal protection under the law provision in the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Not only upheld racial segregation, but also proved to be the perfect vehicle for the planter class and the white farmers to legally divert fundings away from black students to white students. This diverting of resources was so pervasive that by 1900 there were only about 27,000 black teachers for the 2.5 million black children aged 5 to 18 in the former 16 slave states, and of the 2.1 million black children aged 5 to 14, only 36% were attending school, according to Eugene Kinkle Jones, one of the founding members of the nation's uh, first black fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. In 1920, South Carolina's segregated school system spent 1.25 spent $1.25 per black student compared to the 66 per student spent in the New York City school system in 1920. New York City, which had a population that was almost entirely white, 97.1%, spent over 50 times more per child on education than South Carolina spent on each black child in its segregated system, even though blacks were 51.4% of the state's population. Between the 1900s and 1920, despite significant tax increase to build schools in the South, virtually none of the money was used for black schools. By 1917, there were only 64 public high schools for black students across the entire South. In 1909, Richard Wright, one of the foremost African American educators of the post-Reconstruction era, found that 44% of school buildings used to educate black children in 155 districts across 11 former slave states were privately owned by blacks. Moreover, Wright discovered that many schoolhouses reported as public domains were paid for in large part by blacks through voluntary contribution. Therefore, to have their privately financed school recognized and even particularly supported by state or local school authorities, black Southerners had to the state their contributions of money, land, and school equipment. This led to a double taxation on blacks who, while having less than 1% of all U.S. wealth and often comprised 30% to 60% of many southern school districts, were forced to subsidize white communities, which combined controlled 99% of the U.S. wealth. The fundamental problem with the idea of separate but equal was that it was impossible to make facilities equal in a cultural and society that was based on almost 300 years of pervasive, coercive, and systematic inequality and inequity. The terrifying result of this doctrine was that it provided a legal vehicle for southern states to continue to invest as little as possible in the education of black children over the course of six generations between 1865 and when the law was found to be unconstitutional in 1954. In many cases, black teachers in the South were paid only 25% to 34% of what white teachers were paid. White teachers made up to 300% more than black teachers. Because $5 to $8 were invested in to educate a white child for every dollar invested to educate a black student. White students receive up to 700% more than black students. White students also receive 50% more years of education than blacks by age 25. White students were 4 times more likely to complete high school, and almost five times more likely to complete college than black students. Education was also problematic at the post-secondary level, with black exclusion with white university in the South and almost all universities in the North, along with many black universities and colleges in the South being chronically underfunded. In 1914, William H. Baldwin, the president of the General Education Board, whose objective was to the promotion of education within the United States of America, without without distinction of race, sex, or creed. Stated that the South needed Negroes educated so that they could be directed to be the best possible laborers. With the right kind of education, the Negroes will willingly work menial jobs, and that would open up an opportunity for Southern whites to perform more expert labor. A mere 50 years earlier, blacks were 80% of all craftsmen in the South, and now they were being educated to work menial jobs. During Jim Crow, most high-skilled trades and jobs were served to white Americans and caused the percentage of black craftsmen to plummet to minuscule levels. This is entirely consistent with the experience of millions of black people in the South, and has compounded the black tax exponentially up to present day. The overall effect of this objective was so far reaching that researchers estimate that a truly separate but equal school system would have reduced wage inequality. between black and white workers by up to 50%. Think about it this way. If all of the other discrimination in society, politics, and the labor market stayed the same, the power of an equal education could have reduced the wage gap by up to 50%. If black students were given equal resources and opportunities, we're talking about generations of black workers whose earning power was severely reduced. This reduced earning power could have amounted to 1 billion in 1940 alone, or up to 42 billion in today's dollar. If inflated between 3 to 5%, the impact on one generation could have been up to 635 billion, and the impact on the sixth generation of black children between emancipation 1865 and when separate but equal was founded to be unconstitutional in 1954 could be up to 3 trillion in today's dollar. Okay. This is going to be ooh, this is going to be the last title in part 2 that I'm going to read for this particular video. And the title is Black Tax from this Desegregation, What Happened to Black Teachers. It says Black Tax from Desegregation, What Happened to Black Teachers. Do I want to read this right now? Trying to see. I think I will. Oh, let me read the box too for the title that I just got done with. It says the black tax separate but equal up to 3 trillion in today's dollar. So that was the tax that was placed on the black people. Okay, excuse me. And then it starts off separate but equal officially lasted from 1896 to 1954, when it was overturned by the Brown versus Board of Education decision. While this was a great victory in general, there were some unintended and devastating consequences to black students, teachers, and administrators. There was a dramatic reduction in the number of black teachers at all levels. In 1954, about 82,000 black teachers were responsible for teaching 2 million black children and represented approximately 50% of the black professional class. In the decade following the Brown versus hold up, God, I'm trying to get it back. In the decade following the Brown decision, almost 4,000 black teachers and administrators in 17 southern and border states lost their jobs. Black teachers were eliminated and ultimately replaced with a pipeline of white teachers. In Arkansas, virtually no black educators were hired in desegregated districts in the decade between 1954 to 1968. In Texas, 5,000 substandard white teachers were employed, while certified black teachers were told to go into other lines of work, says Carol Karpinski, and an independent researcher and New York City educator. During that time, black teachers received little help from unions, according to Helen Pate Bain, the National Education Association's NEA's president from 1970 to 71. The American Teachers Association and All Black Union was too weak, and the larger NEA was controlled by prejudiced people. In the mid-1950s, black principals were in a far worse position. Researchers, hold on guys, something on my nose. Researchers estimate that 90% of black principals lost their jobs across 11 southern states. In North Carolina, for example, the number of black principals decreased from 620 to 40 in the 4-year period between 1967 to 1971. Children often chose careers that they encounter from family and social networks. Mildred Hudson, Chief Executive Officer of Education Management Company, recruiting new teachers, observed that between 1975 to 1985, the number of black students majoring in education dropped by 66%. This perceptual drop and black teachers clearly had a significant effect on networks and the career paths that black children were exposed to and would ultimately choose from. By the year 2000, 84% of the nation's teachers were white, while only 61% of students were white, and 38% of public schools did not have a single teacher of color. Blacks make up about 18% of public school students, but fewer than 8% of teachers, and black males represent less than 2% of all teachers and administrators in the U.S. education system. Findings from the National Center of Education statistics indicate that in 2011, there were 3.2 million teachers and 45.4 million students in pre-K to 12th grade. Black teachers are 7% of total U.S. teachers, while black students were 18% of the students, which means that there should be 352,000 more black teachers in the county, since the average U.S. teacher makes $46,900. The cost of these missing black teachers is 16.5 billion per year, or over 20 billion per year, including salary and benefits. For the black community in the states, this dramatic reduction in black teachers lead to an increase in black children being taught by white teachers who had both conscious and unconscious bias against them. Consider the results of several studies discussed in Teacher Education Quarterly in the winter of 2002. And Gottlieb, I think that's the way you say it. Gottlib. 1964 discovered why disparities in the use of adjectives to describe the actions of black students by a set of black and white teachers with the positive objectives attributes to black teachers. A questionnaire designed by Griffin in London, 1979, revealed a majority of the black teachers polled believe their student possessed adequate or better ability for school success. White teachers in the same study viewed a majority of the black students below minimum level of ability for achievement. Finally, Breedy and Hansel, 1981, discovered black teachers held substantially higher expectations for college success for black students than white teachers did. Okay, so y'all, this is gonna be a long video. Oh well, maybe not, because I'm almost to the end. And then it says from 1865 to 1955, 6 generations of black children experienced severe underfunding in the U.S. Education system, which effectively crippled their human capital development and reduced their earning capacity by 50%. Yet, despite severe underfunding, they were educated by black teachers who identified with them and had high expectations and even higher requirements. Here is a description of the commitment and impact that a black teacher in 1940s Penn Bluff, Arkansas, had on Ivory Perry, a civil rights activist who fought against poverty and led poisonings in the black community in St. Louis. And it reads, what he learned at home found powerful reinforcement at school, especially in the class of Miss Myrtle Jones, his 10th grade teacher at Penn Bluffs Morale High School. By the time Ivory entered her class, Miss Jones had already established her identity as an indispensable resource and role model for black children in the areas. Before students could enter her classroom, Miss Jones held inspections to make sure that they had combed their hair, cleaned their fingernails, and shined their shoes. She wanted them armed with respect for themselves and respect for others. Black educators like Miss Jones had the difficult task of encouraging their students to succeed in a society that had stacked the deck against them. Miss Jones asked her students to look deeply inside themselves for the initial resources to transcend their unfair, unjust, and immoral circumstances. Self-discipline constituted the core of their philosophy. She took an active role in policing the extracurricular activities of her pupils, driving up and down Pine Bluff's notorious 3rd Avenue in her big white Chevrolet. All she had to do was honk her horn at her student, and they would dutifully turn around, go home, tell their parents, and accept their punishment. When she retired from teaching, she continued youth work for 20 years. After retiring from the job, she continued to do the same work on her own without pay. It was important to her that young people do something for others and that they recognize their responsibility to society. Beautiful, 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 y'all. And then it says, let me pull this over this way. Then it says, after the Brown versus Board of Education decision, black students transitioned to a system that had more funding, but eliminated tens of thousands of black teachers and increased their exposure to teachers with negative biases and decreased expectations. This was a net loss to the black community because black teachers, principals, and administrators were replaced with white teachers, principals, and administrators. This diverted tens of billions of dollars of incremental fundings away from the black community via firing of black teachers and shifted it to the white community via the hiring of white teachers. Sorry y'all, I'm like all over that way, right? Okay, so then it says we have a box, and this is, like I said, this is the last title that we're going to read from today, and we're going to pick up tomorrow. It says, okay, this is the box with the black text that was placed upon black people. Okay, all the boxes that I read from, that was the case. It says the first one. It says elimination of 25% of black professional classes, and then it says the next one is elimination of a pipeline that would produce generations of black teachers and administrators. The next one is black children exposed to higher concentration of teachers with lower expectations and anti-black biases. And then the next one is 352,000 fewer black teachers and 20 billion per year of income and benefit missing from black families. And then the next one and last one is up to 1 trillion of teacher salaries and benefits missing from black families since 1954. Hey guys, so if any young people are listening, aspire to be teachers so you can make that connection and make a difference in the black community. And if it's in Hispanic or Chinese or whatever, it really, 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 really makes a difference, guys, for our kids to see an example of themselves, somebody who look like them, whether it be white, black, Asian, Hispanic, of any any race. It really helps for a child to be able to identify with somebody that look like themselves, to make it make sense to them. So anyway, I just want to say thank you guys for coming and hanging out with me on my channel and this platform, and for supporting this platform. And don't forget to subscribe and like my video. Don't forget to comment down below. Comment. Let me know what you're thinking. I don't know what you're thinking unless you know. Let me know what you're thinking, right? Don't forget to let them know what your girl Cindy is doing, because we try to keep it popping over here on the positive side. Y'all know how we do it. With love, compassion, understanding. Just a place where people can come and be a part of making a difference in this world, right? We want to spread love, peace, unity, right? Not separation. It benefits somebody for us being separate, but it doesn't benefit us as a human race. It's somebody it benefit for us being this way, but it doesn't benefit black people, white people, Asian, Hispanic. It doesn't benefit. So let's be a part of something that benefit us all, right? Okay, and I thank you guys so much, and I love you. Bye. Let's make a difference. Bye.